Good morning. This is a summary lecture on multiculturalism from the chapter Multiculturalism Political Theory of the IGNOU MA Political Science course. This is a summary note which will be elaborated on later. It is especially useful for students preparing for the PSIR optional in civil service. Multiculturalism. Multiculturalism is a major strand of contemporary political theory that seeks to address culture-based discrimination and inequality within liberal democracies. Multiculturalism is a major strand of contemporary political theory that seeks to address culture-based discrimination and inequality within liberal democracies. It emphasizes the importance of recognizing and protecting cultural diversity. Protecting cultural diversity, particularly the right of minority communities within the framework of democratic equality. While liberalism and Marxism have earlier dealt with the issues of injustice, this multiculturalism adds a new dimension: the need to ensure equal respect and inclusion for diverse cultural identities in the public sphere. The need to ensure equal respect and inclusion of diverse cultural identities in the public sphere. So, multiculturalism is a strand of contemporary political theory that seeks to address culture-based discrimination and inequalities within liberal democracies. So, it emphasizes the importance of recognizing and protecting cultural diversity, particularly the right of minority communities within the framework of democratic equality. Its meaning and origin. Most modern states are internally plural. That means they are composed of people belonging to different religion, language, and ethnic groups. Modern states are internally plural. They are composed of people belonging to different religion, language, and ethnic groups. Multiculturalism emerged as a response to the question, how can diverse communities coexist peacefully within a single nation state? The question is, how can diverse communities coexist peacefully within a single nation state? So, modern states are internally plural, composed of different religion, language, ethnic groups. So, understanding the equal legal rights alone cannot remove the deep-rooted cultural discrimination. So, it means that if equal rights alone cannot remove deep-rooted cultural discrimination. So, there is the significance of multiculturalism. So, marginalized communities often continue to face exclusion in formally democratic system. And it is ideal of non-discrimination. Democracy historically fought discrimination based on religion, race, caste, and gender. Multiculturalism extends this struggle by recognizing cultural identity as another set of marginalization. It's part of democracy that recognizing cultural identity as another set of marginalization. It argues that true equality requires not only formal equality but also cultural recognition. Hence, minority groups need a special arrangement that allow them to preserve and promote their culture. So, true equality requires not only formal equality, their need for a cultural recognition. So, these minority groups need special arrangement that allow them to preserve and protect their culture. And promoting cultural diversity. Cultural diversity is seen as a positive social value, enriching societies as expanding human understanding. Thinkers and Charles Taylor, Bhikhu, Parekh argue that No single culture can express the full range of human potential. No single culture can express the full range of human potential. Exposure to multiple cultures broaden moral imagination and self-understanding. So no single culture can express the full range of human potential. Exposure to multiple culture broaden moral imagination and self-understanding. Policies that protect cultural diversity, such as recognizing minority tradition, finding cultural institution, or granting legal expansion, ensure that pluralism thrives within modern democracy. So to protect cultural diversity, first we have to recognize and we have to fund that cultural institution and we have to grant legal exemption. So this ensures pluralism thrives within modern democracies. And multiculturalism, pluralism and liberalism. Liberalism value autonomous individual and promotes universal citizenship, assuming all citizens are identical to the public domain. So liberalism value autonomous individual and promote universal citizenship, but multiculturalism changes this view, arguing that individuals derive identity and meaning from their cultural communities. Liberalism here stands for universal citizenship, but multiculturalism says individual derive identity and meaning. Individual derive identity and meaning from their cultural communities. Denying public recognition of community identity causes psychologically harm or loss of self-esteem. So if you are not ready to recognize this community, it causes psychological harm or loss of self-esteem. Therefore, individual cannot be asked to participate public life as identity-less citizen. We cannot ask individual to participate in public life as identity-less citizen. A truly liberal democracy must acknowledge cultural belonging as a basis of personal autonomy. Now, critique of liberal democracy. Liberal democracy claim neutrality that institution often reflect the culture of the majority. So, though liberal democracy claim neutrality, but institution often regulate the culture of the majority. Policies on language, education, holidays and symbol privilege the dominant group. Language, education, holidays and symbol privilege the dominant group. Declaring Sunday national holidays favors Christians. The so-called neutral law reproduces cultural bias, forcing minorities to assimilate or lose identity. So, neutral law reproduces cultural bias, forcing minorities to assimilate or lose identity. Multiculturalism exposes this bias and calls for a group differentiated right to ensure substantive equality. Multiculturalism exposes this bias and asks for a group differentiated rights. Now, differentiated citizenship and minority right. What is differentiated citizenship? Means that citizen may hold different right based on their cultural identity. Identical rights for all inadequate where minority face disadvantages. Special or group differentiated rights include cultural rights, that mean exemption from general laws, support for minority school or recognition of personal value. Cultural right, exemption from general laws, support for minority schools or recognition of personal value. Self-government rights, territorial autonomy for national minorities or indigenous people. Special representation right, political inclusion of a marginalized group, that SC/ST reservation in India. These rights help minority to preserve identity, gain equality and participate effectively in democracy. Differentiating between minorities. Not all minorities deserve identical rights. Kymlicka distinction between national minorities, that means historical ties and territory with that nation, eligible for self-government rights. Immigrant minorities who voluntarily move and must adapt to the host norm, though they may seek limited cultural recognition. So voluntarily move must adapt to host norm. The special rights are context specific and meant for historically oppressed communities. So these special rights are context specific and meant for historically oppressed community. And we can say critic of multiculturalism. Main concern, empowerment of traditional authority. It may strengthen community leaders and suppress internal dissent, harming women and internal minorities. We can say community leaders they have strong position, but internal dissent may suppressed and harming women and internal minorities can be done. Homogeneous views of culture. It assumed fixed bounded communities, ignoring the fluid and multiple identity individual hold. So, fixed bounded communities are made, ignoring the fluid and multiple identity individual hold. Threat to national unity. By emphasizing group autonomy, it may undermine integration and create dual loyalties. Neglect of economic equality. Marxist critics argue that it focuses on cultural recognition, ignoring material redistribution and class justice. Just focusing on cultural recognition, ignore material redistribution. So, despite criticism, multiculturalism seeks to strengthen, not fragment the state. By accommodating minorities and granting them voice and recognition, it promotes inclusion and stability. So, we are accommodating and granting them voice and recognition, it is inclusion and stability. It emphasizes the citizenship has an emotional dimension, belonging to requires recognition. The current challenge is to protect cultural diversity while maintaining individual freedom and gender equality. We have to protect cultural diversity while maintaining individual freedom and gender equality. Some suggest democratic deliberation within communities and minimum rights framework enforced by the state. Democratic deliberation and minimum rights, especially in the case of women, framework enforced by the state. This evolving theory now also addresses equality within communities, not just between them. The next chapter summary we will discuss in next video. Thank you.